The New Mexico Select Beef Heifer Project started here in Valencia County with 9 youth participating in the project. The project came about with the intent to educate youth as to the beef industry and what it takes to raise an animal from birth to the plate, basically, or a productive animal out on the range.
In the beef industry, there's so much to learn. It's hard to learn it all in 1 year. It's an extensive amount of knowledge.
I appreciate that we learned how to actually, how a ranch works.
We wanted to incorporate every aspect of the beef industry, from raising the animal to breeding the animal, feeding and nutrition, business, finance, written documentation, presentation skills. So we wanted to incorporate all that into this project. So it was a very extensive project.
First and foremost, the program is just heads and tails above any other program that I've seen, because it gives students the opportunity to see what it's like raising one of these production heifers from weaning time in through probably the 3rd trimester of pregnancy.
And the amount of work that these kids put into it is enormous. They get up and they feed them every morning. They do all the normal stuff with animals, but they have all the paperwork on top of it. So they really keep track of them on the paperwork side of it also, to make sure they're in line with what the program requires.
The majority of the college courses being taught were extremely challenging for the students, especially my students, or my children, being 12 and 13 years old. But the information that they gain from it far outweighs the amount that surpassed them.
The project was a great learning experience through everything. First we got a show calf. We got to pick them from our producers that we picked, all sorts of different calves, and we got to pick the best one that we liked. And then we had to go through different classes of learning what this heifer is about, and the different reproductive systems, how to get her bred, what she needs to do to eat, how much grain she needs to intake, what the living qualities are, beef quality assurance for the consumer, and then as a producer, what it takes to do on the producing side of these cattle. Overall, this project has been great.
We started with certifying all the youth through the BQA program. So all of them became BQA certified. From there, we did a lesson on selection and feeding and care for the heifers. So the youth went out and were able to look at a group of beef heifers and talk about traits and attributes that you look for in quality beef heifer. Following the selection training, we actually had the selection that the youth participated in the process of selecting the heifer that they were going to raise for the year. We had a number of producers participate in the project that not only provided information and knowledge to the project, but also provided the youth with heifers through a finance program that was developed. They carried the note and the youth provided a 20% down payment on that heifer. From then they took them home and we began our educational seminars. The seminars and workshops that the youth participated in were college level courses, basically. They were provided by our specialists from New Mexico State University.
I like learning about the digestive system of the beef cattle.
We started with the feeding, nutrition, and digestive system. So they learned about the whole anatomy of the digestive system, how it works, the importance of balanced feed rations, and what it takes, and the importance of feeding a heifer appropriately, maintain productivity throughout their lifespan in the herd.
I learned more about how the reproductive system is for the beef heifers.
We started with a seminar on the reproductive system, anatomy, and endocrinology. They learned all the components of the reproductive system.
I found the reproductive system very interesting. The AI process about how humans have figured out how to artificially inseminate cows.
I learned mainly the basics of breeding cattle.
We spoke on genetics, had a lesson on EPDs, and also sire selection.
Something that I learned this year was about EPDs, expected progeny differences within cows, and the extensive amount of knowledge that goes into putting those together.
To pick a bull, you gotta pay attention to the birth EPDs and the EPDs as well. So you can make a strong herd and get good calves.
The youth selected the sire that they were going to use for their heifer ordered the semen. The youth not only learned the terminology and had the classroom experience, but they also had the hands-on experience in breeding their heifers with giving hormone injections, inserting the cedar for synchronization, and also helping with the actual artificial insemination of the heifer.
I learned how to raise a beef heifer because I've never raised a big animal. So it was a fun experience getting to learn about it and how to breed your beef heifer and what to do when I want to build my ranch.
For the business component and record keeping, the youth had to keep monthly financial records in addition to activity reports that were all submitted to the producers in which the heifers they were raising. So producers received monthly reports on their heifers. They kept financial records.
It taught me how to deal with paperwork and get me prepared for college. And
to reinforce the business component of the beef industry, the youth had to develop a business plan for their heifer enterprise, for that one heifer. So they had to figure their feed costs, keep records of that. Also, they had to come up with the utility costs of water, electricity, the land costs that they're keeping their heifer on, and also health care, any vet bills, and project that out to the end of the project.
Young adults now got a chance to learn more about ranch economics. I'm going to equate that to probably maybe 15 to 18 hours worth at the sophomore college level that they've already got in their pocket here at high school age.
Over and above that, each youth was given a ranch scenario in which they developed a full-fledged marketing plan for a beef operation on that ranch. And they presented that to a panel of judges, both a written plan and also an oral presentation on their marketing plan.
Two main focuses we try and focus on is moderate frame and calving ease.
The youth had the opportunity to show their heifers at any of the fairs that they were eligible to. We had all of them showed them at the county level. We had a couple of them show at the New Mexico State Fair in Albuquerque and also the Southern New Mexico State Fair in Las Cruces. So we got a lot of time in the show ring. Many of the producers were very supportive, showed up at majority of the shows that the youth participated in, and just showed great support for the youth. And the project concluded with a beef heifer sale in which the youth sold their heifers that they had raised throughout the year. They were involved in collecting photographs of themselves, their heifers, and also putting together a short biography about themselves for the catalog, including the EPDs and all the genetic information for their heifers. The sale took place at a local livestock auction in which the youth sold their heifers. We had a group of the youth that chose to retain ownership of their heifers and buy them outright so that they could start their own herd. And those youth also got to display their animals. In order to determine the amount of knowledge gained through the experience the youth had in the beef heifer project, we administered a pre-test and a post-test, which was the exact same test, but it compiled everything that they had experienced throughout the year, from finances to business to reproduction, nutrition, the whole works. We saw an increase in all the youth's level of knowledge from the pre-test. Even though many of those were a year apart, they still showed that they had gained knowledge throughout the project. The whole focus of this project was on education, increasing youth knowledge on the beef industry as a whole. We wanted the award for this project to follow that same goal, so we provided scholarships. How those scholarships were awarded was determined throughout the year. Each project and activity had a points value, and at the end of the year, those points were added up for each individual that participated. And the high point and the reserve high point each earned scholarships of $1,000 and $500 respectively. We are very pleased with the success of this project's first year and are excited to offer this opportunity to youth in surrounding counties. This project would not have been a success without the tremendous support from all those involved, from our specialists from the university to our producers to our youth and families that participated in and our adult leaders.